Well, his status is still one where we're not sure when he's going to play again right now, and we're going to keep it a day to day.
When you look at Michigan, their three-point prowess, how do you address that? How concerning is that? How good is that?
Oh, their three-point shooting is outstanding, and the thing that's so good is they get so much of it off penetration. And Trey Burke is doing a great job of not only shooting the basketball, but creating shots for others. Tim Hardaway Jr. shoots the ball extremely well, but he also creates shots for others. So in the course of transition, in the course of their half-court offense, and in the course of offensive rebound kickouts, they're very, very dangerous with the way they shoot the three. And again, part of that half-court offense is their shot clock offense. It's very good. So you've got to be, you can't get caught in an over-helping situation. It's got to be an early help, early recovery type of game, as it is on most teams that we're going to face that have numerous players that can do numerous things. Michigan's very deserving of everything that they get, and they're an extremely well-rounded team.
How do you balance some of the defensive matchups when you're talking about guys like Hardaway, who are really athletic, with guys like Novak and Douglas, who can spot up for threes?
Well, it's one of those things you got to be able to guard multiple positional players, and Zach Novak may play the 4 spot for them. Well, whoever you've got matched up with him's got to be able to handle that. And I don't think you can get as caught up in the matchups as you can caught up in making sure that you understand that penetration and speed kill in this game, whether it's their break, which is as good as any in the league, whether it's their penetration off middle inside pick and roll. And again, if you're not controlling the dribbler, a lot of bad things can happen to a defense when you're playing Michigan. So that's really what it starts with.
Evan Smotrich seems to have really improved this year. What about his game this year has changed, and what do you guys do to kind of combat that?
Going into the other day, he was shooting 74% from 3 of the last 5 games. That's unheard of. He's also averaging a double-double. I'd say the #1 improvement area for him coincides with what's been the biggest improvement area in my mind for their team, which is their rebounding. So I think maybe conventional wisdom thought that their running game might take a step back with Darius Morris not there. I think it's even better than what it was a year ago. And the defensive rebounding enables that to happen. So he's a very, very good shooter off the catch, off the move, off screens, and at the same time can make plays at the basket and is a force around the rim because of the way he rebounds.
Is there a better rebounding team? That's obviously not been necessarily a focus for Beeline teams in the past. Is there something?
Well, I think it's they've got they're very athletic, so I think that's part of it. And I don't know. I don't know what. Maybe just more of a commitment. I don't know. That'd be a hard question to answer because I'm not sure what's gone into their thought process on that. For us, it's got to be you've got to have more committed guys to the glass, and you've got to have guys that are really creating out high in their attempts, and you can't have a team that mix and matches when they decide to go. And again, I'm not sure how Michigan teaches it, but when I watch them, I see a team that is very consistent and going to both backboards. And they're a year stronger, so that the physicality of the blockouts and things are probably that much better.
What are your thoughts on the way Watford's played the last few games?
He's getting better. There's no question about it. He's hungry. He's playing with some force. He's playing with an edge. And he's playing a lot of minutes for us. And he's playing both ways. And I think and he's gaining a lot of confidence because of it.
Is there one area where this team has really grown from the start of the year to where they are now?
It's hard to tell. I mean, we're getting better, but we've got such uncharted water right now for this team. We've got to make sure that we are really, really continuing to stay locked in. I'd say the consistency of focus has been really good. The consistency of our depth has not been as good. So, again, you don't have any consistency when you don't have that. But it's just a matter of us. There's always such a group of things that we want to make sure we're getting better at. And at the same time, whatever we feel our strengths are, we want to continue to make sure that we're locked into those. So it's really, it'd be hard for me to quantify what would be one area.
Is there an extra challenge when you have a team that's progressed in steps and now has really taken a big step this year in terms of just dealing with expectations? I'm
not sure. I mean, my expectations matter, as do the ones that they have for themselves. And as long as we're on the same page with that, then we have a chance to keep growing and getting better. It's if my expectations and their expectations don't match up. Outside expectations really don't play one bit into what we're doing, and making sure that we're locked into what we're doing every day and making that the best day possible for that event, whether it's practice, whether it's how we prepare for the game with the film, or whether it's certainly the game. That's what's most important.
Consistency of depth, I mean, how does that manifest itself when it's struggling, and how does it need to improve?
Well, it certainly hasn't helped with having Will out, and that's a huge area because, again, we viewed him as a starter. He is a starter, and in my mind, with the way that he plays. So that's hurt us. But it's just a matter of we've been a little too up and down, and Derek Elson's a great example. Last Wednesday night, he certainly could have played better inside of the Michigan State game, and he bounced back and he played pretty well against Ohio State. So when you have consistency, you're not talking about somebody being, the most improved player of the week. What you want to have is you want to have guys that there's certain things that they bring every game. And I think I've learned that, or I shouldn't say I've learned, but I think you have to accept that when somebody's out, you're not necessarily going to replace them with somebody that does the same things. So you better make sure that you're trying to utilize their strengths. And I think in coaching we get away from that. I know I do sometimes. So it's always a reality check to make sure that you're locked into making sure you're getting the most out of that individual, depending on what their strengths are. But at the same time, you cannot allow weaknesses to creep into how you're playing. And that's where the consistency comes in. Are we getting better because we're getting tougher, because we're getting more physical, because we're getting more cerebral about the game, because we're understanding game plans, or are we up and down? And when you have consistency, you can answer yes to those questions at the front. Even when you don't do well, you can answer yes to them. And that's a big step for us right now to take with this team, no matter who's playing. But we've just got to continue to make sure that focus is strong. And if you have that, then you got a chance to get better at all those things I mentioned.
In that vein, I mean, Austin and Remy, some of those guys that you talked about seeing larger roles with Will out, how have you seen them respond through the start of Big Ten play?
Well, it's too early. It's too early to tell. We've played 2 games where the minutes have been sporadic. I thought the couple minutes that Austin gave us were very good. And the key is to build on that and be able to do more. I think Remy started the momentum train moving for us in a good direction when he came in at the end of the first half. And we put him on Kraft, and even though it wasn't like he made a stop, he at least got up and he changed the comfort level that Aaron Kraft was having in the game, because he was extremely comfortable at the beginning of the game. And you can't let players like that, kind of do what they want. So that's how you measure it for freshmen, and to me, and then that continues to build on to the next step for them. But overall, it's just a matter of you want to be able to play on demand, and again, you really know you're building something strong when you go to the bench and you don't feel much drop-off. And that's what we've got to continue to get better. That's the long-term, long-haul goal for building a program back to a prominent level that we're trying to do, and we've got to take strides there.
I'm not sure if you can get into this right now or not, but in terms of Will's ankle, I mean, what kind of progress has he made so far, and what progress does he have?
Oh, he's making progress. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he's spent a lot of time on it, but it's still to a point where he's got to heal, and it's measured a couple times a day. So but it's getting better. There's no doubt about that. So it's really just a matter of time.
You guys threw different looks at Aaron Kraft. Is that kind of the same game plan for Trey Burke to kind of slow him down, have different guys guarding him?
We just want to play the best team defense we possibly can. That's the most important thing.
What is it about Burke that's helped him make this quick adjustment to this?
Well, he was really good to begin with, yeah. And I think that's one thing that maybe hasn't been talked about, because he was a very successful high school player, and he's gone into a system that's a high command position when you play the point guard in John's offense, and there's a lot of things that you have to do, but the ball's going to be in your hands quite a bit. I think the thing that he's done is adjusted to the strength and speed of the college game with his ability. And again, I don't know it, never recruited him, so I'm just going based on what I saw in the past versus this year. He's very good at getting to the basket, very good. He's outstanding in the pick and roll. And again, he's creating so much offense for himself and for his teammates based on his speed and penetration. And seems to be a very in control guard to me. And so he doesn't, it's probably what a lot of people might look at when they see Cody. They don't see a typical freshman. When you look at Trey Burke, you don't see a typical freshman. He's a guy that looks like he's been doing this for a long time, and he's very comfortable with whatever he's asked to do.
More for coach.
When Indiana was going to the NCAA tournament consistently, only losing a game or two at home was a big part of that. You guys are 10-0. Can you just talk about how important that has been to your start so far?
Well, every game has been, and I said earlier today that I want to go to a moment in this season to be the Evansville win, because we hadn't won on the road. We were going into a tough environment, and we went out there and proved to ourselves that we could play very well. And every game has been a springboard for something else. And again, every game has been a different type of win. But I think anytime you play or coach, you want to protect home court. You want to have an incredible record at home. And we've got so much tremendous support. We don't want to let the fans down with that. And I think they've done a great job of supporting this team through all the peaks and valleys of a game. Not just what we've dealt with in our time here, but the peaks and valleys that come in a game. So I think that's what's most important. I do think the mistake a team can make is to think that home is going to take care of things. I think you better understand that, like when we line up tomorrow night, it's a great example. That is a really good team who can play well away from, and guys that have been successful away from Chrysler Arena. So you just want to continue to build confidence in your team, and certainly winning at home is a huge part of that. Good. All right. Yep.